Hello everybody and welcome back to another trip report. In today's video, we'll take a look at what it's like to fly on board Cathay Pacific's A330 in 2024 in economy class on a flight from Kuala Lumpur to Hong Kong. Not only will I look at the flight itself, we'll take a look at the airport experience, Malaysia Airlines flagship lounge, and much more. After arriving on an AirAsia X flight last night, I just spent the night at the Sama Airport Hotel here at Kuala Lumpur International Airport's Terminal 1, which opened along with the airport in 1998. The hotel is connected directly to the terminal via an above-ground walkway, but it's a bit of a walk with suitcases, so the hotel does provide buggy services to get to the main terminal area. Now that I've made it to the beautiful departure hall, it's time to find check-in. After checking the departure board, I made my way to Section K, where the Cathay Pacific check-in was located. There were kiosks at the check-in area which you could use to check in, but I had already checked in online. If you have checked baggage, you'll still need to go to the bag drop desk. There was priority lanes which I was able to use thanks to my Oneworld Sapphire status, but it wasn't that helpful because there wasn't a big line, but it's still good to have. Bag drop and boarding pass print was pretty quick and the check-in agent was friendly enough. Also, I was given a lounge invite card, which I got thanks to my aforementioned status with Oneworld. Before security, there seemed to be a decent amount of places to get some food and stuff. But I just went straight through security, which was pretty quick, taking I think about 6 to 8 minutes. There wasn't really much of a line. This involved a boarding pass check, immigration, and a basic bag scan. I felt like this airport was very quiet this morning. My flight will depart from the satellite terminal, and so I need to take a bus to get there. There seems to be plenty around. Once I got to the satellite terminal, there seemed to be plenty of food and drinks and shopping that could be done, though I did feel like there was still quite a few places under construction. I also noticed a cool garden area near the middle of this building. The Malaysia Airlines Golden Lounge in the satellite terminal is divided into two sections, a Oneworld Emerald first class section and a business class or Oneworld Sapphire one. I have access to the latter. I found there to be plenty of seating available. It seemed like a pretty big lounge. The normal bathrooms were closed for maintenance, but there's others available for use, and it was made clear by signage. There's also a napping section, a noodle bar, and an egg station along with a buffet, which has a great selection, particularly of hot foods such as curries. There was also free Wi-Fi available. I think that the bathrooms that were being used to be just the shower rooms, which aren't super fancy but still nice and were a pretty standard size. The lounge is a nice space and has a great selection, but I can't hear music so there's not too much of a vibe, and also things that generally aren't full meals, such as pastries, hash browns and waffles, weren't great. The pastries were okay, however the hash browns were lukewarm at best when I got to them, and according to my own notes, the waffle I had was more like a rockle. I still thought that the fruit and yogurt was good, and the freshly pulled teh tarik was good too. I'm not sure what the curries tasted like, but they looked good. Overall, I thought it was a very good lounge, but it needs some fine-tuning in my opinion. It also had great tarmac views, and I would still recommend checking it out. Now, please allow me to tell you a little bit about Cathay Pacific. Founded in 1946, Cathay Pacific has long been a highly regarded airline, having been awarded World's Best Airline by Skytrax multiple times, most recently in 2014. It was also awarded World's Best Economy Class Airline by Skytrax for 2024. Cathay has faced its fair share of problems though, having been one of the hardest hit by the pandemic, among other issues. Cathay Pacific previously owned a subsidiary known as Cathay Dragon, and before that it was called Dragonair, but it was merged into Cathay Pacific in 2020 following the COVID-19 pandemic. Earlier this year, Cathay Pacific recorded its first profit since the pandemic. It has been slow to recover to pre-COVID capacity. It has recovered to around 80% of pre-pandemic capacity, and its final aircraft in long-term storage in Alice Springs returned to Hong Kong in June. Once I made my way to the gate, I noticed that there was gate security, something I wasn't necessarily expecting. Boarding time said 7:39. I'm not sure if scheduled boarding time was 7:35 or 7:45, because the boarding pass and online said different things. I believe boarding started with priority boarding, but I missed that. Hello. Sapphire. Oneworld Sapphire. Is that? Yes. That's okay. My ride to Hong Kong will be Bravo Lima Bravo Foxtrot. It's a 2014 built Airbus A330-343 delivered new to Cathay Pacific. It spent a few years with Cathay Dragon from 2017 to 2020, when it then came back to Cathay Pacific.
Good morning. Okay, will be a cloth and 10, right? Thank you.
After a friendly welcome from the crew, welcome on board one of Cathay Pacific's A330-300s. I believe this one has the type code 33P. I'm pointing this out because Cathay Pacific has quite a lot of different configurations on its A330s. I believe this one to feature 24 business class seats in a 222 layout, followed by 293 economy class seats in the standard 242 layout. I believe the seat model used in economy is the Weber 5751, but that's just my guess, so if you know, feel free to let me know in the comments. My seat for this flight will be $39K, a bulkhead window seat in the front economy cabin, which is made up of only 4 rows. Blankets were handed out to those who wanted one.
I'd also like to welcome you aboard this Cathay A330 service to Hong Kong. We'll be shortly closing the doors and underway. Flight time will be 3 hours and 32 minutes.
Now, please allow me to quickly show you the seat features. Legroom is very good because it's a bulkhead seat, so I expected that. Though it was surprisingly not as good as the AirAsia X bulkhead seat that I flew in on the day before. There's a storage pocket which contains things such as the safety card, a sick bag, a magazine and a pair of headphones. The in-flight entertainment screen, which is up here, is on the smaller side, which there's a remote for on the side of the seat, something I don't think there is in regular economy class. There's a tray table which was stored in the armrest, which can be used half opened or fully opened. There's double seat back padding, which is great. There's also a nice adjustable headrest. The crew also handed out arrival cards. There was a passenger near me, who I'm guessing was a Oneworld Emerald frequent flyer, but that's just a guess, who was given a pillow and water as well. The temperature was nice and warmish, and instrumental music was being played during boarding.
Those for departure and cross-check, please. Thank you.
It's now time for pushback, about 9 minutes early. If you enjoy the content I put out and this video so far, please consider liking and subscribing. It would help me and the channel out so much and would be so very much appreciated.
A very warm welcome on board 6730, our Oneworld flight to Hong Kong.
But if you don't want to, that's completely okay.
With Air Canada and Malaysian Airlines. To our members, it's a pleasure to see you again. Your safety is important to us, and may we please have your attention for the safety demonstration. Thank you.
From the moment you begin your journey, we're here to make the experience effortlessly smooth and enjoyable. Because your safety is important to us, please take a few minutes to watch our video.
由而家開始，我哋會展開一段舒適、稱心嘅飛行旅程。
Bluetooth and Wi-Fi function can be used throughout the flight. Use of radios and transmitters is not allowed. Warn whenever the seatbelt sign is switched on.
建議你繼續扣好，以防遇上突發氣流。
Oxygen masks will drop automatically if they're needed. Only inflate your life jacket when leaving the aircraft. Should now be in the upright position and your seatbelt fastened. Finally, and just as importantly, enjoy the journey.
最後，祝各位旅途愉快。
Pre-takeoff checks, thank you.
It's now time for takeoff on runway 14 right. I do love the sounds these Rolls-Royce engines make.
Turbulence messaging on the seatbelt sign and train in message on by air announcement. Now please sit back and enjoy the Cathay service. Thank you.
Now that we are in the air, let's take a very quick look at the magazine. Oh, and also, I did like the sick bag pattern. The magazine appears to include shopping, and it has stuff in both English and what I'm guessing was Cantonese or Mandarin. Before the service started, I went to take a look around the cabin, which was definitely not full. Also, here's a regular seat. Not too long after takeoff, the crew came around with trays offering water. It's now time for a quick lavatory review. It seemed a pretty standard size, and like the rest of the plane, seemed clean. Also, there was an air refreshener thing, hand gel, and hand cream. When I got back from the lavatory, it appeared as though they had already started serving special meals, which was only about 20 minutes after takeoff. Before I get served my meal, let's take a quick look at the in-flight entertainment screen. As I already knew would be the case, the in-flight entertainment screen had a fantastic selection of movies and TV shows. I believe Cathay is known to have one of the best selections in the world. But where the in-flight entertainment starts to fall behind on this flight is the hardware on the A330, which isn't the most modern. It works, but it's not the most responsive, and neither is the remote. Other things on the in-flight entertainment screen includes a kids area, music, games, and a good in-flight mapping application, which appeared to be interactive. The blanket provided was very nice. It was on the thinner side, but it's big and it's made of a nice fabric or something like that. I noticed some kind of a pattern on the seat fabric. Also, I completely forgot to mention earlier that there is 2 universal power sockets for every row of 2 seats. I'm not sure about the middle row of 4. Cathay Pacific provides a full meal on this flight. The options for the main meal today were, I think, chicken sausage and potatoes, or chicken rice, with myself having gone for the latter. This was served alongside some fresh fruit, a strawberry yogurt, a cup for a coffee and I think tea service which was to follow, as well as a slightly warm bread roll. Options for drinks included tomato juice, orange juice, apple juice, tea, coffee and water, and I think soft drinks were available upon request. I went for an orange juice and a tea. Instead of proper milk, I was given creamer for the tea. I do prefer proper milk, but it's not a big deal at all. Along with the meal in the cutlery packet, there was an antiseptic towelette and metal cutlery, which gave the meal a bit more of a premium feel. I went with the chicken rice, which actually looked like nasi lemak. It was tasty, the rice wasn't too dry, and it had a good flavour. The fruit was nice and fresh, the yogurt was standard decent yogurt, and the bread roll was soft but pretty standard. I realised I think the same Malaysia Airlines company that caters the lounge seems to do some catering for Cathay Pacific's flights out of Kuala Lumpur, as some of the food and brands seem to be the same. By the way, both my orange juice and tea were good. Moving on from the meal service, the headphones seemed pretty low quality, and they were, but they weren't too uncomfortable, and I can hear the audio without any major problems.
12:05 PM local time. Hope you had a pleasant flight today. Cabin crew 30 minutes landing, thank you.
I checked out the recline, and I thought it was very decent. The seat moved forward when reclined. By the way, I noted that at first I thought they might have come around to do another drink service, but in the end I concluded that I thought it was just a rubbish service. So make of that what you will.
Your seatbelt is securely fastened.
By the way, it did not seem as though there was any free Wi-Fi, not even messaging. I thought the flight pass was a very reasonable price though. As we descend into Hong Kong, please allow me to conclude my experience with Cathay Pacific. Before the flight, I called Cathay Pacific to inquire about seat selection, as paid seat selection wouldn't work on Cathay's website, as I booked through Qantas with points. Apparently, rows 39 to 44 are designated special assistance passenger rows, on this plane anyway, and so if needed, they would take priority, but I suspected it wouldn't be much of a full flight, so I selected my seat in row 39 anyway. I didn't have to pay thanks to my Oneworld Sapphire status, but strangely, I believe it was 90 Malaysian ringgits for a preferred seat, but the same for a regular seat, on my ticket at least. I found Kuala Lumpur Airport to be big, but it was on the quieter side this early morning. It was easy to get around, and there wasn't any super long lines. I summarised the lounge a bit earlier, but in short, the hard product was great, but the soft product could do with improvement. It was still a good lounge though. Boarding felt pretty chill. The bulkhead seat was great, as it offered extra legroom, and being in the mini cabin meant additional privacy. The seat was very comfy, and the in-flight entertainment screen had a fantastic selection, but as I said, on this plane it's not the best hardware. But that's not a big issue, as it's still usable and the A330s aren't primarily used on long-haul flights. The flight being on the emptier side certainly made it a nicer experience, and also made it feel a bit more personalised. It was also great having a spare seat next to me. I believe since it was an emptier flight, not long before the flight, the seats next to quite a few passengers, myself included, were blocked if there was nobody allocated next to them. The post-takeoff water service was nice, and getting a full meal on this 3.5-hour flight was great, though it is common in Asia. It was a tasty meal too. The crew on this flight were excellent based on my observations. They did their job very well, but didn't go above and beyond with many people, except for the aforementioned passenger near me, which I assume was Oneworld Emerald. Overall, I had another fantastic flight with Cathay Pacific, and I find its A330s to be very comfy, but there are disadvantages to flying on these A330s too. I'd certainly fly with them again, and look forward to doing so. I would highly recommend Cathay Pacific. Also, Cathay's app is pretty good too, and the bulkhead seat is a great option and worth getting if you can at no additional cost. But regular economy on this plane is good too. Now enjoy the rest of the approach and landing on Hong Kong International Airport's runway 07 left.
To Hong Kong. It's a safety requirement that you remain seated with your seatbelt fastened until the aircraft has come to a complete stop and the seatbelt sign has been turned off. Please be careful when opening the overhead compartments as items inside may fall out. It's been a pleasure taking care of you today and the rest of my team. We thank you for choosing Cathay Pacific, a member of Oneworld Alliance. Thank you, enjoy your stay in Hong Kong and have a lovely day ahead.
各位乘客，歡迎嚟到香港，為安全起見請留喺座位並保持安全帶扣上。
I thought it was so cool to see so many 747s at this airport. We pulled into the gate, I think, about 20 minutes early. As we disembark, I'd like to thank you all so much for watching today's video. I posted updates of this trip on my Instagram at aviation763_, so feel free to check that out if you'd like. I'd like to thank all of my incredible Patreons for helping to make these videos possible. Their support is truly so much appreciated, and I couldn't do what I do without them. So thank you so much to them. Once again, I'd like to thank you all for watching. I hope you have an amazing day, and I look forward to hopefully seeing you in my next one, next Saturday at 5 PM Melbourne time.